I chose to do a video because I thought it might be more interesting for you to see me interact with the object as I'm talking, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I chose to use a sponge because my kitchen in my accommodation is full of sponges that are mass produced objects, and apparently they all look similar, but I noticed that we still all in my flat all like to use one particular sponge in the kitchen, and usually it's the one that's not ours. I found the interaction with this subject really interesting because it's kind of like half clean and half dirty, and I like that paradox. I also chose it because I like the idea that we can choose if it's clean or if it's not clean anymore. It is clean until it's not, obviously. That one has been there for a while. It's been there for almost 3 months. I shouldn't even be touching it. And it obviously changed color, as you can see. It used to be blue and now it's all green, but for some reason it's still here with us. So it's made of two materials. It's made of polyester and polyurethane on the abrasive side so that you can scratch off pieces. And it's also made of some food molecules because we've been using it, and Fairy, which is the product we use to clean our dishes. In France, we use a lot more of those natural sponges that you could find in nature, which shows that it shows the cultural environment in which this sponge has been manufactured. It has been too used to see, but when we bought it, it was still attached to some of the sponges. Then we had to tear it apart from the pack, so that it used to have a small indent here because we had to tear it apart. It is soft on one side and rough on the other one. It's 8.5 centimeter long, 4 centimeter tall, and 6 centimeter wide, with this 1.5 centimeter indent for your finger to grab it for ergonomic purposes. It almost doesn't weigh anything, but as you use it, it will weigh more and more because it's going to absorb water, which is a way bigger weight than the actual weight of the object. Sorry. So we can say that this object can carry a lot more weight than its own. It has some holes in it, some indent. I think it's due to the cleaning of sharp knives because it acts like a protection between the hand and the blade. At least that's how I use it, and I think that's how we got those holes. We can see that it changed color and that the side you used to scrape is almost gone. I think it wasn't that color when we bought it, and it's almost, you can easily tear it apart. I like the ambiguity in the subject because you can see that it's very unclean, even though it gets thoroughly cleaned up every day because that's what we use to clean, obviously. And it almost can't serve its purpose anymore, as one side is partly gone and frankly not really attractive anymore, I guess, which made me think that it might almost is becoming a thing and not an object anymore because very soon we won't be able to use it anymore. I think it's one of those objects that you don't really want to think about the previous user, and you don't want to see traces on it from the previous user because I think one likes to think that it has never been used before, as if the object kind of forgot everything by the time it dries. For the smell, fortunately today it smells like our cleaning project, which is Fairy, even though I had to bring it back to France. And I think the Fairy product, it's green, so I think that's what turned it green. So I'm gonna show you the few stages go through while you interact with it. So the first one is that one where it's dry and lightweighted and it's kind of like untouched. Then when you wet it, it's really heavy and you can see the flow of water coming out of it. It didn't change size as I thought it would, but it changed weight. Consequently, it's way heavier now, and it really did carry more water than its own weight. I like that sponge because it's one of those sponges that when they dry, they don't dry really hard, and that you have to run it under the water for 3 minutes before it's back to its original state. It's always kind of squishy, which is nice. It makes also, when it's wet and you handle it, it makes a kind of a satisfying sound, which I think is my favorite part when I use it. Then the third state I want to talk about is when you put water on it, but that you pressed it slightly, and that it's still wet, but it's not heavy anymore because the water that I absorbed left. Also, it has this weird interaction when you put soap on it, and it changes state again when you press it, and the soap comes in. For example, this one is not fairy because I'm at home in France, but that's the one I'm going to use today. It's clear, and when you use it, it turns white and it turns into a mousse, into soap when it has contact with the sponge. I like how this object is made to engage with other objects, so with the water and with the product and with the object you want to clean. Here it's a knife. But also I like the way it interacts with me, because I'm not the only one who interacts with him. Plus, it feels different in my hand while I'm using it, because obviously I'm using water, so my hands get different because of the water, and it affects my sense of touch, and now it has a different sensation in my hand. Also, I think that this feeling of uncleanness of this object, because it's obviously a bit disgusting, it's due to the fact that even if it's clean, some food tainted it, and thus making it look dirty. Because of its power of absorption of water and soap and everything, we never know how clean it is until we wet it and we press it the first time, which is kind of a game we might do in our flat. When we pick the sponge we want to use to clean that dish in particular, we're going to try all them and see the one that and see the color, how the color of the water is when it goes like into the sponge. I noticed that I don't really trust how people clean on my flat and how they let the sponges, so I usually will clean the sponge before using it. So when you tear it apart, it's easy to separate the soft part and the abrasive part, because it's a mass-produced object and it's not something that's really meant to last. And it's almost, its decay is almost here to remind you that you have to throw it away at a moment, because if it were always reusable and it always stayed perfect, we would never think of it as unsanitary, so we would never throw it away. I don't really particularly enjoy interacting with this object. It's dirty, it makes my hands feel weird, and it's a bad memory because I don't particularly love doing the dishes. I kind of like usually gotta touch it from the tip of my finger and not really want to interact with it because I think it's gonna be dirty. But once I run it through the water and everything, I'm gonna forget that it is a dirty object, and I'm gonna take it with my whole hand and use it, which I think brings me back to that idea that it's clean until it's not, and that it forgets everything while, like, when you reuse it a second time. Sorry.